Oh my goodness, you guys, we are finally back in LA after the most incredible 6 weeks of our lives.
Best ever!
Ever.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
In case you missed it, we spent the majority of our summer just hiking and gallivanting all throughout Europe, Italy, France. It was just the best weeks of our lives. But the second we got back home to LA, Adam turned to me and he said, in 18 months, we're going to be homeless.
I did not say it.
Okay.
It's way better than it sounds. Basically, we've always had a plan to travel the world full time, early retire.
Yeah.
And the question was, when are we going to do it? And this trip was so great, so amazing, so life-changingly awesome that I just knew within a day of getting back that the day my son graduates from high school in 18 months or so, we're out. We're leaving our lease in LA and we are going to be adventuring the world full time. The only question is, how are we going to afford it?
So Adam has spent the past 10 days completely laying out our entire financial picture, and what we wanted to do with you guys was lay it all out for you, kind of tell you what we're thinking. We think we've come up with 4 different options of how we can make this happen, but we'd really love your guys' advice and input as well. Okay, so the first thing to do when figuring out any sort of financial plan is really just seeing, okay, what are our expenses and what is our income? So the first thing we did was just lay out exactly how much we spend every single year.
So these numbers are going to be our real numbers. The only thing that's not exactly accurate is we rounded to the nearest thousand, up or down. But it works out to within about $1,000 at the end. So these are the real numbers we actually spent last year and the year before that, very similar in both years. Our biggest expense by far is housing. That is $40,000 a year.
Living in Santa Monica is not cheap.
We don't even have an expensive apartment. You guys are talking, you're like, you guys have stains on your ceiling, what the heck? But it's $3,200 a month. And then when you add in the other things we have to pay, like electricity and what else do we have? Internet, those things. It adds up to just about exactly $40,000 a year.
As you can tell, we do not have air conditioning. We are in the middle of a massive heat wave, so one of us dies of a heat stroke during this process. Now you know why. Our next biggest expense is, of course, our travel and adventure fund. So we spend about $18,000 a year on all of our travel expenses, but that does include our car insurance, flights, hotels.
Gas.
Oh, yeah.
Gas is like half of it.
Killing us right now. Just annihilating us. As I'm sure it is for you guys.
I'm sure it is for everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is not going to change. Obviously, our housing expense will change a lot when we're not living in LA. Yeah. But our adventure expenses, we're planning to keep them between $18,000 and $20,000 a year.
Now, our next biggest expense is food. So we topped out at about $15,000 a year on food.
I've been really trying to cut down, not on the amount that I eat, but on the expense. Like not doing expensive sushi lunches or whatever.
We actually have drastically cut our food expenses over the past 5 years. I would say we probably halved it, actually.
Yeah, because we don't really order out. We cook in more as we've been trying to save a lot more money.
So we could probably get it lower, but there are certain things we are not willing to compromise on.
That's true. I gotta have that protein. And then our last major expense is everything else. That includes the non-adventure entertainment, like symphony tickets, basketball games.
You love your movies.
Movies, but also things like haircuts and buying toiletries and clothes. We don't spend a lot of money on that kind of stuff, but it still adds up to $11,000 a year.
Still a lot.
It's still significant, and that probably won't change a lot because even when we're traveling the world, we're going to want to go to the symphony in Austria, right? In Vienna, as opposed to here in LA.
Probably, yeah, even more.
Yeah. So that's an expense that probably won't go down very much, even when we're traveling. So when you add all of those expenses together, it's $84,000 a year.
Oof.
It's not that bad.
No?
No, it's not that bad. We can get that down once we're not having LA style rent.
So that's pretty much our yearly expenses for right now while we're both working full-time and living in Los Angeles. But we have to account for the fact that that will change once we're traveling full-time.
Yes. Now the good news is it's actually going to go down because there's no way we're going to be spending $40,000 a year on accommodations. We'll be staying with family and friends sometime. Tons of you guys have actually reached out to us and said, hey, when you come to the East Coast, stay with us. When you're in North Carolina, stay with us. When you're in Germany, stay with us. We could probably stay for practically free just on your guys' generous invitations. So we obviously won't do that full time, but we'll use Airbnbs, we'll get good deals. And we think we can get by on about $1,500 a month, as opposed to the, $3,500 a month that we're spending now. So that's gonna be a major, major reduction in our expenses. Also, I do think that we can reduce our food expenses from $15,000 a year. I know that we eat out sometimes when you're traveling, but in LA, we tend to treat ourselves because we're working hard, and we go out to some pretty expensive meals once in a while.
That's true.
You know, and if I'm busy, I'll sometimes just order something or whatever. And I think if we're traveling full time, we could probably reduce that by at least a few $1,000.
Depending on where you're traveling too, like in Italy, we had amazing dinners out with like a full bottle of wine, and it was so cheap. It's crazy.
And Italy is not even one of the cheaper countries. I mean, seriously, like if we're doing traveling in South America or Asia, I mean, we'll be able to eat. You couldn't even eat $15,000 worth of food. Like, we'd be 400 pounds.
We'd be checking into a hospital.
So I think that expense is definitely going to go down. Housing will go down, and food will go down. Adventure budget will stay the same. Because we're still going to be flying places and driving places, and we won't have to pay car insurance, but we will be renting a car. So that's probably going to be about the same. The one thing that we'll have to add, though, if you quit your job, will be insurance.
Yeah, I have really good health insurance and dental benefits.
And we're both on it.
Yeah.
So if you early retire from your job, we will have to cover that, and that will be about $12,000 a year. So that's a significant addition.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Whew, talking about those expenses made me sweaty.
You are sweating.
It's either that or the 98 degrees that it is on our second floor apartment.
It feels like a sauna in this apartment.
We
right
really
now.
need AC.
We do.
Anyway, all right, that was expenses. That's the bad news. The good news, though, is we do have some really nice passive income. We've been saving and investing very aggressively over the last 5 years. And 18 months from now, I'm very confident in saying we will have $48,000 to $49,000, depending on sort of dividend levels at that point, coming in every year passively. That's without doing any work on our part. That's literally just collecting checks in the bank account.
Yeah.
So that's a significant amount of our expenses that we'll have. Also, we will have some income, hopefully, from YouTube and Patreon. Thank you guys very much, by the way, who subscribe to our Patreon and are helping us out. We currently get about $500 a month from that.
From Patreon and YouTube combined.
Yeah, and hopefully that will increase over time.
Yeah. But for all of those of you who are like, thank you so much for choosing to make your living doing YouTube videos. It's really sweet of you to say, but that is not happening, you guys. This is a labor of love. We do it for fun, not for the money.
Well, we definitely do.
Yeah.
But I do think that it could be, if we keep it growing and keep doing interesting stuff, it could be an additional income stream. I mean, it's about $6,000 a year now.
Yeah, which is not nothing.
No, it's not nothing at all. And if we got that up to $10,000, that's a significant chunk as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also, just one other clarification, you guys. All of this income is not income that we've inherited from trust funds. A lot of people are like, you darn trust fund babies.
When we get hater comments on YouTube, a lot of the comments are like, you dang trust funders running all around the world making it look like it's so easy. No. Actually, I inherited $12,000 from my dad when he passed away, but we used half of it for a trip to Hawaii.
That's true. And I was fortunate enough that my parents paid for my college tuition, so I'm very grateful for that.
That's really nice.
But we are not inheriting any crazy amounts of money. All of this money we're talking about is money that we've earned.
Yeah, no one's helping us out with this.
Yeah.
So our expenses, when you take out the massive price of living in LA, but you add in the possibility of having to do our own insurance, are going to be about $74,000 a year. That's the bad news. The good news, our passive income plus our YouTube/Patreon, thank you guys again, is going to be about $55,000 a year, even if that doesn't increase at all
Right.
with the YouTube. So that leaves us a shortfall of about $19,000. And there are 4 options we've thought of for how we could make up that shortfall. Option number 1 is, of course, just to keep working, not leave after 18 months, and and just save up enough that we can just live on our passive income.
I think we all know option 1 is out.
Option 1 is out. We are out of here in 18 months. Have to do it. Got to live our lives, right?
You only live once.
Option 1 is already out. Don't even vote on it. That one's out. Option 2 is more interesting. See if we can switch our jobs to fully remote and travel the world, adventure, but stay at those jobs until such time as we've saved up enough that we are fully able to live on passive income.
This is not a bad option, actually. Both of us, the funny thing is, we really like our jobs, actually.
We do.
We are very fortunate to have very good jobs. It's just a matter of we want to be mobile.
Yeah. So will they let us go remote? We don't know.
You don't know.
If they do, that could be a very, very good option.
Yeah.
Option 3 is to just slash our expenses down to the point that we can live on the passive income we do have, which means, can you live on like $1,000, $2,000 a year food budget?
Oh, reasonable. Only if you'll live on Pop-Tarts permanently.
I could live on Pop-Tarts and milk right now.
How long you would live would be a totally different question.
But then you'd be good to go because you'd inherit everything,
Oh, so-
and then you'd just be paying for one person.
I think we figured it out. Done.
That way, that's option 4. Elise could just push me off a cliff,
Just kill
and then
Anna.
Elise is good to go.
We did get the will set up after the wedding, right?
There is a will set up. It could go badly for me, you guys.
This will be used as evidence against me. We should probably just delete this.
You're right. You should delete this. This I could
What
totally
was I
see the movie of the week happening right now.
Okay, and then our 4th and final option is kind of an interesting option. It would be to find alternative part-time remote work that we could do from pretty much wherever we were. So Adam has done a lot of remote tutoring in the past, so that's one option to consider. Some of you have reached out to us about doing personal training or leading guided hikes and climbs, which I think would be really fun.
I would so lead a guided
Love that.
climb.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
If we had time, like these are things we'd love to do if we weren't working full time.
Yeah, and I don't think $19,000 is that much of a shortfall to make up.
Is it?
Is it? This is where we need advice. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard to make that kind of money.
Yeah, but maybe we're delusional. I don't know.
We'd actually really like to know what you guys think about this.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts, advice. Which option do you think we should take?
The fact of the matter is, 18 months from now, we are going to be going on the road full time. It's going to happen. So the question is just, how are we going to make it happen? And any advice or thoughts or encouragement would be quite welcome.
So let us know, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time out on the trails.
Climbing higher, running faster.